No.
Listen, you better be good tonight. You've been flopping. I need good stuff out of you. Come on. Come on. Why don't you have your Christmas outfit from the other night? You could have borrowed the elf outfit if you wanted.
Well, I had the elf hat.
I'm expecting big things. I'm counting every mistake you make.
How you doing? Everything's good. Good. Just getting ready for the holiday. It's a mad rush. How are you guys staying good? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Sounds nice. We're in Florida. It's perfect. The breakers. Okay. It's perfect. Even better. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we are waiting on there. We're waiting frantically running around getting ready. 2.5 weeks. So we're actually we're in India for 15 weeks.
That's so much trouble finding it.
When in doubt, elementary school, something there.
They're finally at that age. Hazel said.
What?
So remind me.
In conclusion, it is shown.
The other half being in 40 years. So it's really important. I want to show you the other half. My daughter and yes. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be fun.
And she said to me, it's amazing. It was all of them.
We've done breakthrough many times. We were so much more. Actually, Long Beach there. So fly away. Oh, even better. Right, so we go straight Westchester, straight to Bronxville. Perfect.
That's good. Have a gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're missing our fearless leader.
And missing the gap. It's staying with people. Whatever they get stays with them.
Susan will be joining us momentarily. Take that gap. 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I see it in the face.
Do you?
A little bit. The nose. Is your daughter home already? Is she home? Not yet?
Another paper, another final.
Okay.
That sounds like a lot more left.
You gotta go under, Susan, you gotta go under.
She'll get there.
Yeah.
And then it's 3 weeks of celebration.
Oh, great. She doesn't have far to come when she gets there. Yeah.
I was supposed to be at a tournament in Florida the day after Christmas. And there's a, we were there and used to get it. Yeah, and my son's older son.
Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order.
How about you? India?
Since our last meeting in November, as always, it's been very busy here in the district. The film showing for the middle school and I think older elementary school kids on the number on my grandpa's arm, and the discussion that followed was very well attended and very successful. We're very grateful to the district, to Joe Mercora and to the PTA for making that happen. We've also had some discussion about when we teach about the Holocaust, which historically has been in 8th grade, and whether or not we might want to make some adjustments and teach earlier. So it's been a real learning process for us all. Since our last meeting also, Dr. Kelly has spoken to the Rotary Club in Bronxville. Just another reason why her 28 years of experience in the district are so helpful. She's able to kind of get out there and let the community know what's going on in our great district. So thank you for doing that. And also, since our last meeting, we've made a lot of progress on that outdoor classroom. If you haven't had a chance to take a walk by it, it's quite beautiful. So thanks for overseeing that, Dan. And excuse me. Although I'm not too sure about that spray painted rock they put back. But it's really going to be when we have the good weather in the spring, it's going to be terrific. And then the last thing the board would like to communicate is about feedback for the tenure process. We've just begun hearing about tenure candidates in executive session. And it's very important to have feedback from the community, from those who wish to offer it. And there are lots of links on the website and in our communications as to how to provide a written letter. But we do understand that not everyone is comfortable with that form of communication. And because we are a small district, we're fortunate that our administrators are always happy to have you reach out and have a conversation if that's more comfortable. So we do want to encourage feedback in whatever form is most comfortable for everyone. So with that, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the November meeting. Did anybody have any changes or corrections to the minutes? May we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I too wanted to thank everyone who was involved with offering the viewing of that documentary. I think what was particularly powerful is that parents came and sat alongside their children. And I think that is a moment that we don't do enough. And the turnout was outstanding. And I wanted to give a special shout out to 2 of our faculty members that were willing to facilitate a talkback. One, Lauren Keschner, our school psychologist, led the talkback with our 3rd through 5th graders and their parents, and Alyssa Diaguardi, who also brought some high school students with her, facilitated the talkback with our 6th through 8th graders and their parents. So one of my proudest moments here in Bronxville, and I'm sure we will have many more to come. I wanted to also thank everyone for their patience and cooperation this morning. I know you all very much look forward to hearing my voice before 6 a.m. I do think it was the right call. And Mike Lee, our Director of Facilities, under Dan Carlin's supervision, and his team have really been extraordinary. We've now had 2 consecutive weekends where there was some lots of rain predicted. Last weekend, not so much so. This weekend again, and Mike Lee is on school grounds with his team, making sure that our pumps are ready to go and the sanitation levers are ready to be pulled if necessary. So it's just an example of their level of commitment and dedication to our district, and for that we are very grateful. Also, Dave Denuzio, our Director of Dining Services, he was available yesterday as we were coordinating with Ann and Joe, middle school and high school principal, because with the prediction of the high winds, we thought it would be best to keep our 7th through 12th graders on campus for lunch. And Dave was on the ready, making sure that he had enough food and that we could do that in a safe manner. It so happened that the high winds ended earlier than predicted, so kids were able to go off grounds. But nonetheless, I think this is an example of our faculty and staff's adaptability and flexibility as we ensure that the safety of our students and employees always comes first. So thank you to everybody. Across all 3 schools, we've been enjoying our robust and talent-rich holiday concerts, and that's by our chorus, band, and orchestra students, with a few more happening this week. Also across all 3 schools, we've seen a spirit of giving. In elementary school, they had a successful pajama drive resulting in over 150 pairs of pajamas being donated for children in need. In the middle school, our students collected an abundance of gifts for students at Grand Wyndham. And in our high school, we hosted our annual holiday party for students at Andress. 2nd grade completed a STEM residency with architecture for kids. And this is where students worked as innovators to create futuristic, sustainable skyscrapers. The experience was Arc for Kids, and it provided our students with dynamic hands-on, minds-on learning experiences. And it was grounded in architecture, design, engineering, and urban planning. So we're grateful to the PTA for funding this incredible experience for our 2nd graders. Our elementary and middle school students welcomed guest speaker Chris Waddell. He's a Paralympian who shared his inspirational story of tragedy to triumph. Chris shared how he had suffered a skiing accident which resulted in paralysis from the waist down. He was determined to not let his disability define him. He became the first para-athlete to climb Kilimanjaro. He created a motivational program called Name Tags, and that helped teach our students to look beyond just a name tag and to learn about themselves and others. And I just want to point out 2 outstanding accomplishments of our high school seniors. One is Brendan Morrisroe, who earned 2nd place in the Veterans of Foreign Wars Voice of Democracy audio essay competition. And the second is Simos Dimas, and he was one of 10 students from across Westchester County that's been selected to receive the Westchester County Youth Service Award. So congratulations to them and their families. And we are delighted to welcome our student liaison to the Board of Education, Junior Matthew Curran, who's prepared to share a few words with us. Matthew?
All right, thank you. Just to start, just after our last meeting, the fall sports seasons all officially ended with great success. They culminated in the all fall sports awards, in which obviously there were school awards that teams gave out individually, but what I thought was most impressive was the wide range of all section, all regional, and even all state awards that were given out to Bronxville athletes. And winter sports seasons are now along the way. The high school musical, Curtains, began its early stages of production, and auditions were held in late November and early December, so be on the lookout for that. Bronco TV classes took a trip to NBC Studios. They were able to witness firsthand a professional media production, learn from the tour guides, see the strategies that were being implemented, and even implement them in their own productions here at Bronxville. Art history students took a trip to the Met in the city recently. It was a great success as students were able to visualize and see in person many of the art styles and pieces that they have been learning about and studying in class. The SFL hosted Bronxville's first spelling bee. Students competed in 2 separate groups, and the top performers in both groups qualified for an all-school competition in the main gym that included multiple teachers. Hard-fought competition, but junior Harry Gallo came away with the victory. That's an exciting event that I personally hope continues in the years to follow. As mentioned, the middle school, high school bands, as well as middle and high school orchestras held their winter concerts, with the chorus holding its annual winter concert this week. The Bronxville Art Society held an open mic night in the public library, where students were allowed to sing and showcase a wide range of talents to a crowd. The annual Bill Green basketball tournament was held in the main gym this past weekend. Our girls varsity team was victorious, winning the finals, while the Byram Hills boys won the boys tournament. And I have also been required by a certain family member to add that the PA announcing was most excellent, with a threat of not being allowed back in the house. And finally, the Bronxville Youth Council recently sponsored a gift drive for the West Hab Playgroup at the Reformed Church. And the drive saw people donate toys and presents to create a little over 80 stockings, one for each of the children. And that's it.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Matthew.
So next, as per our commitment to sharing examples of our Bronxville promise in action, this evening we welcome our high school principal, Ann Meyer, and students Lila Keating, Chloe Holub, and Vincent D'Amato to speak to us about the disposition of innovation, specifically evolving technology such as artificial intelligence. Please join us.
Well, I can start, as in the slides. So basically, we're here this evening to talk a little bit about the artificial intelligence courses that we're offering in the high school for our students, and then I'm going to have a couple who are in the course share their experiences. So last year, we were able to begin to offer artificial intelligence courses. You can go to the next slide. Through a partnership with a company called Inspirit AI. So Inspirit AI is a company that contracts with schools to provide AI courses taught by graduate students in AI. So we have had our courses taught by Stanford, MIT, Columbia, Harvard AI graduate students, and also some individuals who are working in the field, which I think is why I was most interested in this. We really struggle to find faculty that have a background in this because obviously it's just evolving. And many of the faculty, a couple of the faculty that we've hired have left to work at Google and Pratt & Whitney, or I'm sorry, Lockheed Martin in their AI department. It's hard to compete. So this is one way we've tried to expose our students to this is through this Inspirit AI organization. So you can go to the next slide. This gives you a little background in terms of the courses we've offered and how many students have been enrolled. So last year we had 22 students enrolled in our AI Scholars course. We also ran a boot camp for our seniors during senior week, and 14 seniors enrolled in that. And then we offered a summer camp here at Bronxville, a 2-week summer camp for students from all over the area, but it was primarily Bronxville students to study AI. This year, we have 18 students enrolled in the AI Scholars course. That's sort of the intro course. And then we have 8 students enrolled in the Deep Dives course, which is more advanced. And as you can see on this slide, it's mostly supported through foundation grants. So we're very grateful to the foundation for supporting our work with Inspirit AI. How is the course offered? Basically, it's taught over Zoom once a week during our X block. So these students spend 40 minutes of X block every Tuesday in a classroom overseen by one of our teachers taking an AI course. And I just included a couple of the instructors we've had or currently have, so you can see a bit of their background. So we have Tyler, who actually taught last year in our summer camp, in our senior shadowing boot camp, and he's teaching this year. He has a background in bioinformatics, and then ended up working on an entrepreneurial venture with a graduate professor, and is now in the investment banking industry using AI. We have Olivia Lee, who's at Stanford studying symbolic systems in mathematics and computer science. And then we have Rami, who is actually now a software engineer at a biotech startup. We have a few other instructors as well that support our work through Inspirit AI, but you can see they're in a variety of fields, applying AI in all those different fields. So just to give you a quick idea of what is covered in our intro course, you can see the list of units that are covered. And these 3 students are actually in the advanced course, but AI requires some background in linear regression, and we have students studying that, and it may sound to them very scary, but when it's applied to AI, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's basically applying linear regression. They do a lot of fundamentals around machine learning. This is primarily coding in Python, which is most applicable in AI, and then students start working in areas that AI is advancing in very quickly, like natural language processing, ChatGPT, computer vision and neural networks, so like self-driving cars, convolutional neural networks, which they'll have to tell you what that is, because I don't know. And then they do a final project. So if you want to go to the next slide, this is an example of some of the final projects where they will build AI programs that will maybe work on genomic data or do some actual, in this case, pneumonia detection. We've seen the students study cancer detection and imaging. I think Vincent's going to talk about something similar to this in a project he worked on, working to train models to analyze data from NASA to look for exoplanets. So students end the course with a project in an area they're interested in applying AI to that project. The deep dives, which these guys can talk more about, is really working on training the machine learning algorithms. You can see, like, I'm bringing people in to try to teach students this. I'm trying to stay on top of it myself, but these guys know much more about it. And, you know, basically they're learning more advanced forms of AI, and you'll hear from Chloe about how they're using data sets available online to build some of these models and analyze those data sets. One more, I think. So last thing from me is just, you know, where do we go from here? We have, I have 3 students here. One is a senior, and they're all in the advanced course. So what do we offer next year to our sophomores and juniors who will now complete the advanced AI course? So just, I'm constantly thinking about what's next. How do we offer that? How do we continue, if our students are interested, to expand their knowledge and understanding of AI? And maybe working on some partnerships outside of the building where students might apply those skills. I was just meeting with a student this morning who's going to be doing a WISE internship. He's a senior, and he's going to be working on data analysis at an investment bank with AI. And this is just one of our seniors who's going to go out second semester and do some work. So I invited 3 students today. They're going to tell you a little bit about who they are, what they're learning in the AI course and why they're interested in it, just to give you a sense of what this actually looks like in practice. So, you want to go first, Chloe?
Good evening. My name is Chloe Hollib. I am a junior in the Advanced AI Independent Study, as Ms. Meyer said. I am also enrolled in AP Computer Science Principles and have proficiency in 2 different programming languages. I'm really excited by how quickly Bronxville enabled us to study AI. I think it's very important, especially now as AI is changing different areas of life, such as finance, business, healthcare, and even environmental sciences. This experience has inspired me to take on side projects as well as influence my path for college. So currently we are learning about NLPs, and NLPs are use computers to process, model, generate, and understand human language, whether it is spoken or written. Examples can be seen in ChatGPT, Alexa, and sentiment analysis, which is our current project. Sentiment analysis is used in market research or to monitor social media. Currently, we are developing a sentiment analysis tool. This classifier predicts user sentiments, whether they're positive or negative, about a company based on their reviews. In order to do this, we use data science libraries such as Pandas, NumPy, Seaborn, and Matplotlib. And Pandas we use to load and pre-process the review data. NumPy assists us in numerical operations like calculating the frequency of words or scaling data. And Seaborn and Matplotlib helps us visualize the results of the analysis, such as showing the distribution of positive or negative sentiments on a graph. We are also utilizing word embeddings, one-hot encoding, as well as one-hot encoding, sorry. Word embeddings learn word similarities from vast data sets, which we get from the data sets I previously mentioned. One-hot encoding is a technique for converting categorized data into a machine-readable form. So our Yelp review project helps explore the Yelp review data set, pre-process and vectorize our text data for NLPs, and train a sentiment analysis classifier with logistic regression. We are also exploring and improving a model and train models with word embeddings and use word embeddings to calculate similarities and analogies. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lila. I'm a senior. A little bit about my background is I'm taking AP Comp Sci Principles this year, and I took the General AI class last year and the Deep Dives class this year. We've learned about a variety of topics, like Chloe said. To list a couple, we learned about neural networking, machine-based learning models, how machines interpret and synthesize data. We've done some basic coding. We've learned about generative AI parameters. And a story I like to tell about that is last year we did an activity where we had to list the parameters for a pig. And so we said that they're pink, that they have snouts, that they have curly tails. And we watched as the computer identified pink blobs with curly tails as pigs and actual photos of pigs as false. So that kind of taught me, I now have a better understanding of how computers work and how it synthesizes data that you put into it. And that's just an element of the course where we learn to utilize this tool in a way that the computer understands. And another thing is, like Ms. Meyer was saying, I'm very interested in the sciences, but I feel much more I feel much more prepared going into any profession because with ChatGPT and AI in almost every profession, I feel a lot more prepared having a basic understanding of how it works and how I can use it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Viz D'Amato. I'm a sophomore, and I am currently enrolled in the Deep Dives program for the AI course, and I did the AI Scholars last year. I am not enrolled in any computer science classes, but I got into coding a couple years ago when me and a friend taught ourselves how to code with Python. I think that artificial intelligence is the future, and we have to embrace that. Instead of posing it as a threat, we could introduce it to students as a tool. Large organizations are already embracing AI and using it for the benefit of their employees and their consumers. According to a survey by Gartner, 1,400 executive leaders out of 45% reported that their organization is experimenting with generative AI to use. And 10% of that 45 is already launching that and using it. This course has showed me how AI can improve the world around us. For example, at one point we were working on a neural network to see if someone had diabetic retinopathy. I don't know how to say that. Yeah. It shows how it's like a neural network can take information, process it, and with enough training it could put like true or false. It will take a lot of training and it sometimes can be wrong, but with a lot of fine tuning it will be 100% accurate. So what the AI does is it looks at sample images of eyes with and without the disease, and we tell it if it does or doesn't. Then we feed it new images and it will, like a test, say if it does or doesn't. And with that we can like punish it and fine tune it to improve it. It could also be used in like sports, like it feeds like footage of something and it'll put the odds of an injury or something on it. And it could also show like scouts how good a player could perform or not. This AI course has impacted my future, and I think I want to continue in AI. Thank you.
So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of the range of students, their backgrounds, and some of the work that they're doing in the course. Like I said, we're thinking about what comes next because we have students who are going to be finishing this year, and we'll need a more advanced course after. I think it's also demonstrating how do we source courses in areas that we ourselves can't staff, which I think is another important thing for us to consider as things evolve and we don't necessarily have staffing that are experts in these areas. This is a model for how we can make opportunities available to students. And then finally, I just want to mention that in addition to students learning about AI, we are doing quite a bit of work with our faculty. And we're working with an individual through Brad that is funded by the foundation, our computer programmer in residence who has a strong background in AI, and really trying to have conversations with faculty about how it can be used as a tool, not just something we may catch students using it to cheat for, but how there are chatbots now that we can feed an entire course worth of information into and create essentially a one-on-one tutor for the students in that course. And so the teacher is facilitating while the chatbot is able to answer really basic questions that may come up from a student. They can just chat with that chatbot, and then we do more advanced work with the faculty member and the students. So I think helping our students obviously see this as a tool. I think sometimes it's important to help our faculty see, number one, what the future looks like for these students, because to try to say no AI, from my perspective, is doing a disservice to our students. And also, it's a tool for faculty. So we're working on trying to embrace that, inform them, and demonstrate it as well. It's kind of both sides of that. So that is a little bit about what AI looks like at the high school, and we're happy to answer any questions. You guys can come up.
First of all, thank you, Anne, for getting all of this going, and thanks to the students for having the courage to really dive into this new frontier, and not be afraid to experiment. I'm curious, Lila, you spoke a little bit about, I thought that was an interesting anecdote you described with learning about how a computer recognizes a pig. And I just wondered if any of you were surprised by anything else as you learned how AI worked, whether positively, like it could do more than you ever dreamed, or you saw limitations that, you know, informed how you use it.
Well, I think I learned that computers don't really work like humans. They don't have human brains. So I learned you have to put information in a certain way that the computer recognizes to get results that you want. And treating it like it's a human brain and speaking to it like a person doesn't always work. So just kind of ways to input information to get a certain output. I didn't realize how specific it is and how different things that inputs can have very different outputs. So I learned about clarity in this class.
Mm-hmm.
If I may add,
Sure.
I've been constantly surprised positively with the boundaries that AI can set and how experience can push those boundaries. I feel that with enough experience, we can make AI do a lot.
So I'm curious, to that point, and to Ann, your point about teaching the teachers also. So from the three of you, I'm interested, for everything you've learned and your experience, you're consumers in the classroom, right? How would you recommend that teachers could better use this new frontier to make the classroom experience more productive for you and your classmates?
I think the first thing is to recognize it not as a form of plagiarism, but as a tool that can be used for learning and for expanding ideas. So I think the first step is probably recognizing that it's not really a weapon, but can be used for learning. And I mean, computers were banned in schools when they were first created, and I think a lot of schools are having a similar reaction to ChatGPT. But I think teachers learning how to teach students to implement it as a tool and not as a form of copying is the first place to start, in my opinion.
I think that it should be taught to teachers how it can be utilized specific ways, like Ms. Meyer mentioned, with pretty much a teaching assistant. I think us as students, like, we can't explain to teachers how it can be used as a teacher, and I think, yeah. But I definitely do think it's a tool that can be used as a teaching assistant, as a way to aid in curriculum, or, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I feel there's a way it could be like tailor-made to improve student experience. Like if a teacher's out, there could be a chatbot that a student can ask questions and it could give a quick answer until the teacher's back, and they could go more in depth about it. And it could be tailor-made to each subject.
That solves our budget problems.
Thank you.
But it might not recognize the pig, so it has its limits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well done. We have just a few personnel items before you this evening. We have a leave replacement for a teacher that will be out on parent leave. We have some resignations of teacher aides, teacher resident, and some replacements. We also have a revision to our special other stipends due to the increase in minimum wage in New York State. And we also have the first round of spring coaching. And we are in pretty good shape. We're just shy 3, so we have plenty of runway yet to hire those last 3. So I ask you to consider items A through N this evening.
If there's no questions on those items, could we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Dr. Kelly?
I've got a lot of updates. We'll start with the current year financial report. We continue to see expenditures forecasted near break even, but we are seeing some salary savings due to turnover and vacancies. But aside from that, the invoices for the sanitary backup cleanup back in late September, October were on target, but that's putting a little pressure on the maintenance budget, so we'll keep an eye on that. And for the second year in a row, revenues continue to drive the surplus as non-resident tuition, special ed tuition, and interest earnings will all be favorable for the year. And I'm forecasting over 600,000 so far in revenue surplus alone, and combine that with a small $100,000 or so surplus projected from expenditures. We see that we're entering a volatile budget season with a robust surplus, and that could prove helpful. Any questions regarding the financial report? Then we can move into what was completed earlier this afternoon is the first draft of the 2024-2025 budget. It was hot off the presses to the board this afternoon. It looks like our tax levy cap will be approximately 2.15%. This will change slightly when all components are known in a month or two. We're still waiting on actual state aid, and I'm projecting the maximum 2% for the for inflation, and I don't think that will be a problem. It's not going to be lower than that, in my opinion. The proposed budget, the first draft, came in at about 56.4. Can you go down a little there, or back up to the top?
Back up?
Yeah, back up, I'm sorry. Came in at about $54.5 million. And the initial draft of revenue other than property tax is about $5.8 million. So that leaves us with $48.7 million that we have to raise either through the tax levy or through a fund balance allocation. Now we've typically, and that tax levy change would be about 4.64%. So we typically allocate $100,000 or $500,000, excuse me, to offset the next year's budget, and we've just seen that I'm projecting a surplus over that, so I'm very comfortable with that figure in there. And that brings down the estimated tax levy to about $48.3 million, and that's about a 3.57% increase. And the projected cap is a little distance away from that. So it's about $660,000 away from that. And you can go to the next slide. So what now? As I mentioned, we're awaiting clarity regarding some of the variables, which is the final teacher's retirement system rate. I plugged in the range they gave us, but when the final rate comes in, we can fine tune that. And again, we're expecting the governor's proposal on state aid to schools in January. And then we do anticipate revenue enhancements, expenditure cuts to get under the cap. The administration will recommend those in coming weeks. And this budget and any alternatives we can come up with to change this budget will be reviewed in detail on January 27th at 9 a.m. So anybody wants to do a little reading over the break, feel free. I gave everybody a copy of the detailed budget. And so this is really the big kickoff to the public debate and discussion.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do because
Yep.
we have a 2% cap. We have an 11% increase in health insurance
Yep.
costs. which are like 12% of our budget.
Yeah.
So the math doesn't work.
Yeah, we've been further away than we are now, but we've also been closer than we are to the cap than we are now.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's some work to be done, but past boards have really not been inclined to entertain an override, which would require a 60% majority of the, even though our budgets typically pass, you know, with a 70 to 80% majority, it's not something our boards have sought to entertain in the past, and I think we're close enough where that's, you know, that's not an issue this year either.
Fingers crossed.
Yep, yep. I do have one financial action item.
Foundation.
Yeah, the foundation comes through once again for high school social studies professional development from their Gilder Lehrman designated fund. You know, I don't, do you want to go into detail about what they're going to be doing?
Yes, they are going to receive training from a historian about teaching literacy skills through history. So, as we've talked about before, the assessments in social studies have changed significantly from sort of just content recognition and identification of different historical periods and people and turning events to really being able to analyze multiple documents and identify enduring issues that exist in history between those documents, and then write essays in which they analyze those documents. So there is a lot more writing and analysis of material in social studies, and this is something that we've talked about them working on. They then chose this organization, which is a highly reputable historical organization, to do this work with. They remain very excited about it, and more to come as we work with them to identify who the historian is. But I think they're very excited about these opportunities, and we are all very grateful that they're doing more analysis work and writing in social studies, because that support in the content area is very helpful to our students.
And social studies teachers 5th through 12th grade will be involved in this?
I believe they're reaching out to the 5th grade about being involved, but definitely 6 through 12 is all taking part in the training.
Terrific, thank you. Thank you to the foundation.
Yes, thank you to the foundation.
Absolutely.
And Mickey, thank you for circulating information in advance of the meeting on the grant and the organization. I Googled the organization, it's amazing. They have a lot of really famous historians involved. So I feel very fortunate that our school can benefit from their expertise.
We have several of our social studies teachers taking master's level courses through that organization in history as well.
That's great.
2 in particular who do a lot of coursework through that institution, so it's nice to see.
Terrific. Were there any further questions?
So moving on to facilities.
We need
We
to
need a
vote
vote.
on it.
We need a vote.
So the foundation is awarded the following grant from their Harris Designated Fund for History. It's $24,780 for Gilder Lehrman Professional Development for social studies teachers in middle and high school to incorporate literacy into social studies instruction. Could we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, foundation.
Moving on to the facilities update, I started to put this together and I ended up having to go on to page 2 because there's a lot going on. We'll start with today, with the water incident we had today. Nothing got in the building. There was the parking lot actually started to rise, and I'll get into that a little bit. Mike Lee was here overnight monitoring the situation, and early morning we started to get parking lot water. which is unusual when the pumps are going, because it wasn't the same kind of incident that we saw last time. So as Mike does, he puts on his waders and jumps down into the wet well. And it turns out the debris screen, which is just kind of a rebar net meant to stop any kind of large, the stuff that gets in there is unbelievable. Was just, it was really the leaves that were clogging it. So he just jumps in there with a rake while all this is going on and clears that out. And then, Mike's not going to be in tomorrow because I think he was about 36 hours straight. And then having traveled the Taconic Parkway between the hours of about 5:30 to 7 a.m. this morning down to the sprain, I can absolutely say the delay was the right call because it was absolutely nuts out there before sunrise when the wind was going and trees were flying across the road and sheets of rain were coming down. Then moving on, we have the outdoor classroom. It's virtually complete. We are just awaiting wood bench delivery and installation. The contractor will reach out to the manufacturer for a more definitive date. And this was anticipated. We knew that getting materials was going to be the delay to getting done, and there are absolutely no change orders on this. So we're pretty happy with this, quick little mini project. The Bronxville flood pump enclosure situation, LAN. Our consulting architects, their surveying team was on site to perform a survey of the area 2 weeks ago, and the architectural and civil team were on site to take field measurements last week. Drawings reflecting the existing conditions have been started, and the team has identified a strategy for the structural elements of removable portions of the roof required for the design. This is what we showed at the meeting last week. It's kind of a pavilion where you can remove the roof to get cranes out with a pump. So they're putting that plan together. And we have the contractors who did the outdoor classrooms looking at the renderings, and they've talked to Mike Lee to try and give us a ballpark figure to confirm that budget going forward. And, we expect that in the next week or two. Then we're also looking at putting in a security vestibule in the pond field entrance. And we don't really want to put it on the outside of the entrance because it's got a beautiful historical look to the outside. And the inside, it made sense to take the middle school conference room and kind of wall that in as a security vestibule. So we're having our architect look at that. They were on site field measuring, and the team is currently modifying their CAD drawings of the school to reflect the measurements observed in the field, and they plan to present us with schematic drawings for review early in the new year. We also received the draft energy study from our consultants. It stays in draft form until NYSERDA certifies the final copy. I'm hoping to review it later this week. I will circulate that to the full board at this point. I just wanted to let everybody know it's in. It's long, so I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. After this meeting, I have a little time later in the week. I'll get through it. And then finally, also later this week, Mike Lee and I will review the 5-year plan in depth to continue the prioritization begun by the committee. We'll jettison the items we've either already done or that will be handled through the maintenance budget, and then give our take on some of the things that the architect recommended as well. Any questions? All right, no action items. A lot going on, though.
Thank you, Dan. Do we need to talk about the C of O?
Yes, that's the fire inspection. We have to just post that, I guess. Right, Connie? Is that the requirements?
We have to notice the public and then we
Yeah.
notice will be going out.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's an annual, they do.
That's an annual thing to get we have Eastchester Fire come in and walk the building and certify that we are compliant and issue our annual certificate of occupancy
Okay,
for the whole building.
all right, and
So-
we have a athletic merger?
And we do, we have an
Flag
athletic
football.
merger. This is a result of both the survey that went out before Thanksgiving and an interest meeting that was conducted as a result of that. We saw the opportunity to get some girls on the football field with merging with Irvington. I think Joe had about 20 girls at an interest meeting after, I think, over 100 or so said they were interested in. 20 showed up for the meeting. So we're going to offer flag football as an option for girls this spring through a merged program with Irvington.
What will be the incremental cost of offering this program?
Transportation mostly, and maybe part of a salary. It's not that significant. It's less than $10,000. So if we can give 20 girls an athletic opportunity for $10,000, it's a really good deal.
Yeah.
And this is officially sanctioned as a varsity
It is.
sport
It
in New York
is.
State.
Yep.
And I know we've talked a little bit about the student survey and how everybody wants to do everything. But are there any sports that are waning in interest that we may sunset at some point?
That did not come across to me in the survey results. Our kids love being busy.
Yeah.
We probably have more three-sport athletes and people who want to be three-sport athletes than any other school I've ever
Yeah.
seen. And,
Yeah.
our size is one of the reasons we're conducive to that. But our kids are busy and they're ambitious.
Yeah, no, it's just, we talked a little bit,
Yeah.
we've talked in the past a little bit about how we can't just always be adding, we have to be smart about sunsetting and adjusting to.
We try to merge where we can, where we can't offer a full opportunity because fielding and we've had wrestling and I believe softball in the past, and they went away due to lack of interest. But if we can offer any kind of merged opportunity, we'll always take a look at it.
Okay.
What of the interest, like the 20 girls that want to do it, what were they doing? Were they?
I don't know that.
Were they playing
Yeah.
another sport and now they're not going to play that
I
sport?
don't know that, what each individual person was doing offhand. I just don't have that information.
Many of them, the majority of them, were not playing a sport in the spring.
Great.
A few runners, so we'll see where that actually lands.
Yeah. But this should give us an idea of how many actually show up. Of a ratio of the interest that came through the survey to what actually goes on the field. So we're very interested to see what this generates.
There was a lot of talk about girls volleyball. How did that come back in the survey?
I don't.
Remember?
Joe's coaching his team right now, so I don't remember offhand. I don't think it was certainly not enough to field our own team at the moment. And we have some facilities issues as far as that goes as well that we'd have to figure out.
We're merged with Mount Vernon, right?
Yeah, we currently merge with Mount Vernon. We send a couple of girls down there.
Do you know the softball results have gotten
I don't know offhand, but we can, we can talk about that at the next meeting, maybe.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Okay, so the resolution is the Board of Ed of Bronxville School District approves the athletic merger for girls flag football with the Irvington School District for the 2024 spring season. Could we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Flag football. And then you have second reading of a bunch of policies.
Yeah, so I just want to send kudos to the high school girls who took initiative and advocated for this to be put in place. I think that was, they were skillful, and they're ours, so congratulations to them. So this evening is a second reading on 4 policies. In November, the board acted on first readings, and these 4 policies are new and required, which is why we made that a priority. So you have before you the school safety and educational climate reporting, staff complaints and grievances, conditional appointment and emergency conditional appointments, as well as rights of employees to express breast milk in the workplace. So those would be second readings this evening, and if passed, would go into practice.
Any comments or questions on those 4 required policies? If there's none, then could we have a motion to approve them all?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
New policies.
Policy
Okay.
committee.
And one more this evening for a first reading. This is a brand new policy that is required, and you have it before you this evening because it's supposed to be in place as of January 4th. And that is workplace violence prevention. Both the sample policy from New York State School Boards as well as the sample policy from our school district attorneys were very similar. I reviewed that, made some adjustments that made sense for us, and you have that as a first reading this evening.
Okay, thank you. Do we need any kind of an action on the first reading?
Yes.
Okay, so, we're approving the workplace violence prevention policy, which is new and required for a first reading. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
So we've had, I think, since the last board meeting, a meeting of the safety committee and strategy and curriculum. Dan, did you want to move any updates out of safety?
I was at the safety committee. I think it was pretty quick. There was nothing new coming out of it, but except, they talked a little bit about lice.
It happens.
Other than that, we also talked about, the vestibule that we're pursuing and things of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and I spoke to Vic about it. It really wasn't a lot, but on strategy and curriculum, there were some substantial changes. I'm going to have Mara, maybe you could speak about it more articulately than I can.
Sure. So we did meet. One of the agenda items was to discuss the grant for the social studies PD that the foundation has supported and you have all voted on. We also had some discussion about science curriculum. And for a while we had a forensics elective for our students. It was a bit outdated in terms of technology. The teacher who really loved teaching it has retired. So we were looking into possibly some other electives that we could run for our students in grades 11 and 12. So Anne was able to get together with the department, and they talked about 3 courses: oceans, biomedical sciences, and anatomy and physiology. And then from there, they basically created general outlines for these courses and then surveyed the students on which would be most interesting, and they decided on oceans and anatomy and physiology. And we did discuss a little bit about the possibility of dissection in the anatomy and physiology course, as being something exciting for students who are particularly interested in this area. So as those courses continue to be developed, we will update you, but we're looking forward to pursuing them for next year. In other news, we did speak about the high school social studies curriculum, in particular the advanced placement courses that are offered in our high school. We currently offer AP Microeconomics and AP Macroeconomics, but we wanted to look at 2 other courses as possibilities to replace the microeconomics course, and we looked at AP Comparative Government and Politics and AP United States Government and Politics. And actually, when the students were approached about this, they were overwhelmingly in support of the AP United States Government and Politics, which is hopefully the course we will be running next year in place of microeconomics. And the rationale was given for removing microeconomics in favor of offering only macro, because macro is generally more interesting and applicable than microeconomics, and more students can take advantage of that type of course than, let's say, microeconomics. So that was what we put in front of the committee, and I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
What was the original genesis for making these tweaks to the AP offerings?
And you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think we felt like it was a lot of econ, and we definitely have a good number of students interested in poli-sci. And a lot of times we have a subset of seniors who like to take both APs, but we didn't have the poli-sci AP that we offered. So the feeling was, let's keep one AP Econ, and instead of doing 2 of those, add an AP Poli-Sci. Just more as a balance. It matches a bit more the state non-AP curriculum, which is Econ Poli-Sci.
Okay.
Is this going to be one class, just like it is now, like
It's going to be 2.
2 different instructors and?
Correct, which is also going to be a little bit different, which is you don't have to enroll in both.
And if there are
Oh, I'm
students.
sorry. What did you?
She asked if there's different instructors.
Sorry, I don't know who will be the instructors.
Okay.
It could be different, and one will be first semester, one will be second semester, and what we run first semester is the AP will match the non-AP that we run first semester. So if it's AP Macro, that Econ will run, and then if second semester, say, is AP Government and Politics, then Government and Politics will run. So if someone were to drop the AP, they could drop into the same course as the non-AP side.
Makes sense.
And if there were students that wanted to do the micro course, could they do that as an independent study?
We don't offer APs as independent studies. Sometimes students study things on their own and take an AP, but we don't allow, because we feel like an independent study is so little time, and AP courses need 80 minutes every other day. We don't feel like it's equivalent.
Would we allow them, would we order an exam for them?
We've done that, yeah. People have taken it on their own, studied on their own. If any of our students want an exam in something we don't offer, we order it and administer it.
And just for the benefit of everyone, the advanced placement curriculum for all courses, including these, is very dictated by the College Board. In fact, to teach one of these, you must attend an institute and your syllabus must be approved by the College Board. So there is not a lot of flexibility in the curriculum here. It is dictated by the exam and the College Board.
Any other questions on strategy and curriculum? And I think that covers it for committee meetings. So that brings us to the public comment portion of our meeting. If there's anyone who wishes to make a comment before the board, please identify yourself at this time. And I don't know if there's anyone in the queue. No one. All right. Then if there's nothing further, could we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the 2-week break,
Yes.
everybody.
Happy holidays.
You going?
Are you-
Yeah.